Hey guys, on this week's edition of BS with AJ, we're going to be building a longbow. If you want to see more videos like this, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Alright, let's go ahead and get started. Alright guys, so we have our piece of red oak here. It is 6 foot long or 72 inches by 1.5 inches. So basically what we're going to do, the first thing is we're going to cut this down to 64 inches and use the leftover 8-inch piece as an extra backing for the handle, basically to make it a little thicker. Now this is my first attempt at making a bow, so we'll see how it works out. If it doesn't work, then we'll try again with another piece of wood. But I'm going to make one. I'm pretty well determined. Alright, the next step I took was to find the very center of our piece right here. So I marked that as the center line. From this point you want to go up 1.25 inches, and that's going to be your arrow rest. Alright, so from here you want to measure down 4 inches. That's your whole handle section right here. On each side of this 4-inch line you're going to mark out a 2-inch fade out mark. So basically this whole center part is going to be 8 inches wide, which is the same size of the piece we cut here. And that's going to be glued onto here to make our handle. Alright, so your next step is going to be measuring from the end of your bow to the very outside fade out line on each side, and you'll want to find the center, which I've already done right here. Alright, now that we have our center point, the bottom limb is going to be shorter than the top limb. Just so you're aware, it's not a mistake as to how it's supposed to lay out because of the way we laid our handle out. So the bottom center was around 13.5 inches. The top was more like 14.25, something close to that. So basically we found our center right here. On this end, we're going to measure to the very center of our board. Since this is 1.5 inches, it's 3/4 in. So we're going to measure in 3/4, that's our center. On each side of that, we're going to measure out 3/8 of an inch. So that way it leaves a 3/4 inch wide piece at the very end here. Alright guys, so now I'm going to use some 50 grit sandpaper here, and I'm just going to kind of rough it up just a little bit here, just to give it a little more surface area. We're not trying to actually sand anything or anything like that, just trying to make some deeper spots for the glue to settle in, to give it more gluing surface basically. Alright, now that we've done that, we're going to go ahead and put some glue on here, and we're going to do what's called a sizing coat. So basically we're going to cover both of these pieces in glue and let them set for 5 minutes, and then we'll come back and actually put another layer on and clamp it down. Alright guys, so the point of this basically is because this is kiln dried wood, it's really dry. They basically, what kiln dried means is they put it in an oven and they put it in a heated area or a dehumidified area or something like that to pull the moisture out quickly. And the reason they do that is so that we can, well, obviously to get it done quicker. If you air dry it, it takes a long time, so they can use the kilns to dry them out a lot faster. But anyway, so it's made our wood pretty dry. So we want to put a sizing coat on there so that way it gives it the opportunity to soak into the wood more. Because if I just put one thin layer on there like you normally would to glue things up, and you put it on there and clamp it down and everything, a lot of that glue is going to suck into the wood, and there won't be as much holding them two pieces together. Now with a lot of projects that may not be that big of a deal, but with a bow, when you don't want it coming apart, of course, that may be a lot bigger of a problem. So we're going to put this on, we've got to put on here, we're going to let it soak in for about 5 minutes. We'll come back, put another coat on, and then clamp it down. I'm going to put one more clamp on here, but I'm probably going to do it off camera because my camera's directly in the way. And we're going to let this dry for, I think it's about 30 or 40 minutes, something like that, for it to set up really good. And then we'll go ahead and start putting our backing on. Alright guys, so I've got 6 strips of this drywall tape. It's actually made of fiberglass. And we're going to use that, and we're going to use wood glue to attach it as a backing for our bow. This has been clamped up for about 45 minutes or so, so we went ahead and took our clamps off. Now we're ready to put our backing on here. So the first thing we need to do is go ahead and put a sizing coat on here, just like we did before. As soon as I find my glue. Alright, I found it. And we're going to let this soak in for 5 minutes as well. Alright guys, the glue's been soaking in for about 5 minutes. Now we're going to go ahead and start by putting our each layer on here. We're going to put a piece on there and make sure all the little holes get filled up in between there. And then we'll put some more glue on top of it, put the next layer on, and so on and so forth until we got all 6 layers on. Alright, now you can do all this by hand if you'd like. I actually have an old Bondo spreader from when I was working in a body shop. I'm going to use that to kind of spread this across here. It's working really well actually too. I don't think that you necessarily have to use a backing, but it is going to make your bow that much stronger. It's going to give it that much more resistance to cracking. And in theory, it should also be able to raise the draw weight, if it's making it stronger, of course. Again, that's in theory. I don't know if that's for sure, but this is one of those times which you want to make sure you have plenty of glue on here. This is not the time to skimp on your glue, because if there's a gap in here or a place without glue in here, then that's a weak spot.